Hello.
Hey, hi.
We're so excited to share with you guys about Becoming Jesus People Volume 2.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. Can you believe that we're talking about a second book?
Was it a year ago we were working on Volume 1? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't think we hadn't even started writing Volume 1.
Yeah. You got plenty of time. You can relax. You can relax.
I can relax.
Because it's a little different this time.
So we're going to give you some updates about book 2 and share a little bit of kind of our heart behind it and what you can expect. So Volume 1 did really well. I mean, we're calling it Volume 1 just because we're working on Volume 2, but it wasn't called Volume 1 at the time. It was just kind of an experiment of like, let's collect stories and put them together, and it was a very rushed process.
Why was it rushed? Because of the...
We were trying to get it out along with that movie.
She just set this goal and said, we have to release by this point.
Just thought it would be the best opportunity for us to share the first book with as many people as possible, because they'd already be looking into that content. And we did. There's multiple reviews you can find on Amazon where they talk about, hey, I saw the movie, I came on here searching for some books, and I found this one, and it was amazing, and we loved it. If you do a second one, we'll read it. And so
I had a lot of people ask me, did you hear about that movie Jesus Revolution related to the book? And I go,
like,
yeah, well, we kind of had that in mind.
Or they'll tell us, oh, that's such a coincidence that your book came out at the same time. Yeah. It wasn't really a coincidence.
The coincidence was the Asbury revival.
Yes,
that was a delightful coincidence.
Yep, totally. So for Volume 2, we kind of took us a couple months over the spring and summer to recover from our very rushed publish a book process.
See her; she's raising a family too.
And so when we started talking about doing a second volume, I think I've had a feeling in the middle of the first one that this could easily become a multiple volume series of books. There's just so many stories.
Yes, that was the thing that I remember standing out to me. Oh, we should have got so and so. Yeah. And but a lot of those people were not Live Houses. First book, the uniting thread was all people who had ended up at Live House at some time or other. Yeah. And so that kind of led.
That was our connecting theme. So we were kind of thinking, like, if we did a Volume 2, what could be? Do we just want to do more Liberation House stories, which we could? There's like 600 of you guys.
Yeah, we could, yeah.
There's a lot of them out there that we didn't get to because of rushed time, or we couldn't get a hold of people. So, and just it was an experiment too. It was like, well, where would people want to share their stories? And we kind of just went with the people you knew the closest. And so for this one, go ahead.
I had a thought that, it's slipping away.
It's okay.
Go ahead. Bail me up.
So with Volume 2, we think about this what could be a connecting theme, and I just kind of had this like picture of like taking what we did with Volume 1, which was this discipleship house was the connecting theme, and broadening that out to like, let's widen that circle a little bit more. What was happening in the city of Eugene, specifically with that church faith center that came up, you guys probably remember in a lot of people's stories, or Roy Hicks Jr. kept coming up in stories a lot, that he was a very instrumental person in that time. And even Dan Perkey has told us when we interviewed him for the second book that he doesn't know where Live House would be if it wasn't for that support of that key church.
Oh, yeah.
A faith
center.
Yeah,
that was the core of our lives, was those 3 services each week at Faith Center, listening to Roy Hicks.
So the theme for the second book is
it's
Faith Center. Faith Center and Roy Hicks Jr. is our connecting thread for this second book, which we're really excited about. And I think I've gotten a whole lot more emotional this time around with these stories, even though I don't know. It's not like last one, it was my godfather and godmother stories in there, but with this one I didn't know these people, but there's some kind of weight to it, I think, that just feels really significant, that I'm really excited to get to share these stories with you all. There's some really amazing ones. We do have some Liberation House stories still in there too. There's some really great ones, but there's some other ones too that they were in other kinds of discipleship houses, or they were just leaders navigating this season where there was exponential growth with the whole Come as you are, in
Yes.
your flip-flops and long hair, and bring your dog.
Yes, I got that thought back, was that that movement of that time was not just hippies like you found at Lib House, which by and large, what we were, countercultural people, but there was many people from clean, what you call clean-cut, straight people from every walk of life, businessmen, students at the university, all the way on up to the people that we considered elderly at the time. And so that movement was not, even though it's called the Jesus People Movement, it kind of has a mark from that thing that happened in Southern California. It was pictured in the movie. What was going on at face there was plenty of those kind of people, and you'll see their memories, but also plenty of people from the general community, what we called the straight people at the time.
Yeah, I think they called them squares in the movie. Isn't that what they called? Had you ever heard that term?
Yeah, that was a little previous to our time, yeah, but we knew what the term meant.
Okay. So, who are some of the people that we've interviewed?
So
what can we look forward
people
to?
who went on to various. I'm really struck by the diversity of levels of influence of these people. So these are, for example, I can think of a couple women who weren't in visible positions of leadership, but they were constantly, and their whole life has been about discipling, mostly women, but men too, and just giving their lives away. We have people like that in there, and then we have the people who several of these guys, we call them Roy's boys in retrospect. Roy's boys who went on to follow Roy's example and planted churches all through, really, up and down the West Coast, really. So.
Yeah, I think in my research I found that 57 churches had been planted out of Faith Center with its initial 50 people. And then so I think Jim Thomas was telling me that he said it was actually maybe 80, more like 80.
Yeah, that's not different.
Which it could be between when we stopped this next book versus till now, which is many more decades later. So. So what is the dynamic look like for us writing this book that might be different than last one?
Well, the main thing is you're doing most of the work. I did the finding of the people and thinking of the people who
made all the connections. Mm-hmm.
We didn't get as many visible women leaders as I wanted. It just didn't work out. But maybe volume 3.
Although I do think actually as I look at it, we are pretty evenly. I think there's like 9 and 10 or something like that. There's a total of 19 stories again in this book. So
right.
Yeah.
So I just
and you're
contacted those people. It's been a delightful experience of getting in touch with these guys. It covers the whole arc from, of course, the early 70s to late 80s, right? Where Steve took over the church.
Oh, yeah.
Where
Roy
Roy
right
handed,
before that, 1986.
Okay, Roy handed the pastorship to Steve Overman, and his story's in there, and it's a great arc to follow it. Oh.
He hasn't approved it yet. He didn't say anything negative about it, but
okay.
So and we have other stories in there. We will probably the challenge that something is different for me this time around is trying to write someone's story that I didn't meet in person and I didn't interview. So in this book we are going to do a 2-part story from Roy Hicks Jr.'s perspective, and with that came a lot of interviews with family members, secretaries, friends of his during that time, to try to kind of put together some pieces of stories we've heard about some of his earlier life, to just how did he navigate as a leader in that season of exponential growth and differing opinions and all this stuff. So that's been a little bit of a growth point for me to learn how to write from that perspective, when I there's some creative license that has to be taken, but also trying to stay true to who this person was, and having to rely heavily on a group of 7 to 8 people to give me feedback on that, versus just being able to be like, hey, does this sound like you?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad that we get to do this. This was my heart, even while the first book was being written. I want to see something done that expresses how much that man, Roy Hicks Jr., meant to us, and what an impact he had in our lives. And so from all these 20 or so people, you're going to get these little anecdotes of how Roy impacted them. And then, of course, there's the chapter, like she said, where we just kind of put a bunch of them together to try to tell a story through his own lives. But my prayer has been that it would honor Jesus by honoring Roy. And Roy, hope we got it right. Hope you're comfortable with this.
Wasn't it someone told us that he said one time, when I'm gone, don't be thinking about me, because I won't be thinking about you.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He's going, why are you guys
Why are you writing a book about me? Go out and do stuff.
It's not for you, Roy. It's for us.
Yes. And so, I think for me, I've been really impacted too, hearing about this person that I'd never met, and realizing how significant and how much people loved him, and respected him, or maybe even were intimidated by him, and just what it would take for someone to navigate a whole massive little movement, when his heart was really just to love 50 people and have them love Jesus. And I really hope to get to convey some of that to you guys, our readers, and I'm excited to get this second book out to you. Right now we're looking at potentially like a February 2024 release date, and there's a significant date in his life, or in his history, that lands in February, and that is a coincidence that might take advantage of for a launch date. So we're excited. We wanted to just give you guys an update of what to expect. Also, if you have pictures from Faith Center at that time, we would love to see them. They've been really hard to track down. Anyone, except for some wedding photos. Some people had wedding photos in the space. But just any kind of photo from that time period in that church would be super helpful. I was able to go down and do it. We did a tour on Sunday. Steve Overman and Jim Thomas and Dan Perkey and the Bakers came too, and kind of walked us through what the old space looked like, which was really helpful for me as a writer to be able to describe it better in some of these chapters. But if anyone has any pictures, that would be really helpful.
Can I tell them what I've been working on?
Yeah, what have you been working on?
With the book, we are also going to release a collection for download and listening, at least 550 of Roy's sermons that we've collected from those years. So stay tuned for that. And it's a delightful experience. Listen to those again. The truth still rings as the truth, still powerful.
And how long? Riley's been sifting through all these files, so this is kind of a labor of love on his part to get that in a space where you guys could potentially listen to it when the book is ready. So, well, let us know if you have any questions. Keep us in your prayers. So appreciate your guys' support. If you haven't read the first book, then you need to go read the first book, so that you'll be ready for the second book. It's going to follow the same style. Each chapter will be someone's story. And my cover designer is already probably about 75-ish% done with the book cover for volume 2. So really excited about that. But you can, and it makes a great gift. Everyone's shopping for Christmas right now, so it makes a great gift if you want to give it to somebody.
Are they going to give it for Christmas? If it's
Order
not
it on
coming out till
Amazon.
February.
No, the first book.
Oh. Maybe not listening so close there. Sorry.
Or I wasn't clear. All right. Well, thank you guys. God bless. Thank you so much for your support.
Bye.